And welcome back everyone, and for today's video I will be opening this Ami package that just arrived. I honestly forgot that I had ordered it, but it's something that I pre-ordered not too long ago. I guess it was a while ago, a couple months ago. Here is the Ami card that's usually included. I thought I threw away most of these because I really don't have a purpose for them, but I ended up finding a stash. So I still have a couple of those. And I'm pretty excited for this because that's everything in the box. The glare is making it a little hard to see, but this is one of those hand model figurines that I think were released pretty recently, but became a little viral not too long ago. And it's life size, so it looks like it would make an amazing model for art purposes, and I think that was the intent. Although a lot of people ended up buying it just because it looked cool, and functionally it was a cool thing to have. Like if you're a fan of figure collecting, not necessarily for, you know, aesthetic reasons, you're just a fan of the craftsmanship that goes into making figurines, then I thought this, and I'm sure everyone thought this was a really cool piece. So it says Kochobukuya hand model, supervised by Takahiro Kagami, sculpted by Tsukuru Shirahige, I'm assuming. And this is art. It's called Artist Support Item, color in gray. I believe there is a light gray version too. And I did pre-order the left hand. I am left-handed, so I thought that would be appropriate. Normally I open these from the bottom, but this is something that I genuinely think I might keep for a long time. And it very much reminded me of when I purchased Bodycoon, which was a mail form artist figurine tool a couple years back. I think I did a review of him. Okay, he comes with a manual, just various poses that you can, oh, it's upside down. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. I don't think any assembly really is necessary outside of posing it in the base. Cool. So there are options to tighten the joint, I guess, for posing. That's cool. I do apologize for my dog as well. He is barking up a storm. Oh wow. It's so light. It's actually quite, honestly, it's about the size of my own hand, which is really funny. It's got pretty long Bishonen fingers, but other than the index finger being pretty long, it's more or less almost exact size of my hand. That's really funny. Mine's a bit wider. Obviously, it's more meaty. And obviously the wrist is really thin. This is definitely more of a Japanese wrist. But it's really cool. There's so much going on. It's just interesting to see sculpted fingernails. The wrist joint. I'm assuming that's where you loosen it. Oh wow. I got really distracted messing with this, but I just undid the back, so I'll set this up on the base in a bit, but that's pretty much all it comes with: the manual, the hand, and the parts for the stand. But going back to the hand, I'm so impressed with how fluid the movements of the joints are. There's no resistance really, but it still has some stiffness, if you know what I mean. It has structure, so it's not really loose and it holds its pose. It's also just really flexible. These joints go pretty far, very realistic. Like, look at that. That is so cool. And then, oh my gosh, that is so cool. This is my dream drawing tool. It's amazing. Look at this. And as I was saying, it's pretty realistic, outside of obviously the size of my wrist, which is thicker. It feels meaty enough that it's pretty realistic in the way it folds into itself. And then kind of expands just a little bit. I do think that part could have been improved upon a little bit. I feel like the human hand can do that a lot more noticeably. Or maybe it's just me. But I'm just so fascinated by the joints inside the palm of the hand that do all that intricate stuff. After reading the instructions more, I actually really do appreciate how obvious this is as an artist tool. They go into details about how you would draw the hand based on the figurine, such as the folds and the in between the fingers, or the webbing as they call it, where the creases and the palm of the hand would be based on how the figure is, and you know, where the fingers are at the joints. It also specifies specific bones that either may not be visible or that you can kind of learn to see anytime you pose the hand based on the joints that they've crafted. And then here is another, it's hard to see because it's so light, but here's another little blurb about the type of bone that should be present in a real hand, and then using the figure as a reference. But it also moves more into being able to tighten, to adjust the tightness of the wrist, I'm assuming. Because right now it's, let me see. Oh yeah, it does bend. It's pretty tight already. I don't know if I really want to loosen it. But I'm sure if you're someone who probably does a lot of posing, because the way this is supposed to be on the base itself feels quite heavy. I'll pull it out now. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. It's solid acrylic. It's see-through acrylic. That's new. I've never gotten a figure with acrylic stands before. Acrylic in general is such a popular tool with artists nowadays. These are really sticky. So if you're opening this for the first time, I definitely recommend getting the long one off before the one on the small ones, because the little plastic sheet of tape was under it. Okay, so here's the rods, and then the L-shaped rods, or whatever you call these. I'm not sure. Oh, they're solid metal. I'm acting surprised, but really this makes sense. This is quite a sizable figure, and if you're going to be posing and messing with it, I'm so fascinated by that, I'm sorry. But if you're going to be posing it a lot, then it needs to be sturdy. It's not something that's going to be stationary. It's intended to be utilized. So if I'm reading these instructions correctly, it's pretty self-explanatory. Short ones go on the front, tall ones go on the back. And then the base itself is really cool. It says artist support item in the acrylic. The bottom's plain. If your room is dusty like mine, I have my air purifier next to me going, so you may hear the hum. Then that will be an issue if you care about it, but I don't. This is primarily for me an artist tool. Kagami Takahiro Kotobukiya on the back, and then on the bottom it has these holes where you should be able, and these turn in the holes as well, by the way. You should be able to insert it into the holes, and that's how you would pose your hand. So here you can see how it stands, and then let me just see how I can do it without. Oh, Okay, maybe, yeah. I think that's probably why you would want to loosen this joint, because if you were just leaving the stand as is and trying to posing it without having to hold it, it's definitely too tight out of the box to do that. It's going to pull the base forward. Now, I'm not sure why the short pieces are there. I'm assuming it's for specific poses because there's no picture on the instructions that really show, I guess maybe this pose, it using the shorter ones to hold it. You only have one height, so I imagine if you flip the hand and pose it the other way with maybe this type of pose, these support rods would come in handy. But right now, it's solid. This is nice and sturdy. It's not shaking or anything, really. You can still twist it a little bit while it's on the stand. And so long as you're not moving the wrist joint, it's really easy to pose while it's on here. So that's so cool. I love this thing already. I'm so fascinated. I don't show a lot of my artwork and just art stuff in general on this channel, even though that was the original intent. I kind of got sidetracked by reviews, but art is my passion, and I've been drawing since I was probably, my earliest memory is when I was 11 years old, but I've been drawing way before then. And I've always been fascinated by hands. I absolutely love drawing hands, and it's one of the most fun things that I love to draw. Oops, took it out of the stand. See, I got carried away. But yeah, I love drawing hands. It's one of the most fun things that I extremely enjoy drawing. And when I saw this, I was ecstatic. By the way, earlier, I didn't hear a click, but I just heard a click. So make sure you push it all the way in there until you hear a small little click. But yeah, I love hands, and I am in love with this figure. When I saw the original one, I saw it late and it had sold out, and I was devastated because this thing is not cheap. I didn't mention any price tag because I really didn't care, but this was $100, I believe. I'll put it in the screen somewhere and in the description, as well as a link to this product, but I'm pretty sure I paid at least $100 for this. And I think it's worth every penny, to be quite honest. I think something like this is just so worth it if you really enjoy reference material like this. Obviously, artists who can't afford this would just use their own hand or references online. But obviously sometimes that doesn't work, especially if, I'm left-handed, so I can only use my right hand for the most part. Pictures are always how I've gotten by. I take pictures of myself and my hands in the mirror and things like that. But sometimes you don't want to have to do that, that's a lot of extra time and work you don't want to have to do. And something like this is just so fun. Years ago, there was a very cheap gacha, and I got this from it. And I mess with this almost every day. It's so fun. And this is just the advanced version of it. They do make a right-handed version. That's actually the first one that released. And this left one is the most recent release. Wow, they bend back so far. That's so cool. But that's really all I have to say. I really don't have much criticism. The price is pretty steep, but the way this was designed, and it's got metal screws, it's really smooth. It definitely has the mobility of the bodycon. Was it SH Figure Arts who made that one? I can't recall, but if you've been on my channel for a while, I did have a review of that, what they advertise as an artist model that came out years ago as a competitor, I think, to the Figma bodies, the Figma archetype figurines that a lot of people were using to customize figurines, but also use as references for poses in drawing. One that looked similar to this, but smaller, more standard figure size, in gray and multiple other colors, and now different body types, was created a couple years ago, and it was so popular because they are genuinely very useful. If you struggle with posing and trying to figure out the anatomy, these types of things are just so helpful. And they're just also fun. They make drawing fun to me. So yes, overall, I do think the price is quite steep, but this was made for me. So I'm not even mad about it. I'm just happy to have one. Like I said, this released with the right hand first, and I saw it late, and I was so upset. I was hoping it would get cheaper, and it never did. It only got more expensive. So when they announced this left-handed one, I immediately went to AmiAmi and pre-ordered mine. So that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, check the description for the link to this product, as well as the prices and all that this cost me through AmiAmi. This came airmail, air small packet. It's pretty quick. Takes a couple days. That just means it's going on an airplane versus a ship, which will take you a couple months to get to you. And it is the cheapest option for a reason. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye-bye.